So I'm going to be brief on this topic here as I'm discussing, my friendship with Mari and where it stands. As you know, it's going to be almost 2 weeks since we haven't spoken. I remember we had that almost 1 month silence where it was basically she got upset at me over something. I wasn't really arguing with her at the time, but she just saw me just going crazy and, extremely crazy to the point where she just did not want to talk to me. And this happened on Friday, May 2nd. I remember the date. And from there, we have not talked as, it lasted for almost a month. And at that time, I wasn't much too worried because I knew we would reconnect. And at that time, mind you, I didn't get the mental help yet. This was when this silence happened, where we didn't talk. It was at the beginning of May. So at that time, I didn't get the mental help yet. It didn't happen until late in the month. It was like in late May where I started to do therapy and, eventually just, seeing a psychiatrist. That was like the following 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So that was where I was starting to get the help that I need. At that time, when we had our almost 1 month silence, when it started, I didn't get the help yet. And at that time too, I was out of my friend circle. I was still away from my friend circle at the time. So, it's just me and Mari just mostly communicated through YouTube because that was all I had. I was out of social media still by that time. And so, and then from there we just ended up not talking. But at that time, I didn't feel as very much worried because, again, I was still out of my friend circle at the time. I still needed time for myself, and I didn't get the help at that time. So now, after what transpired the last couple of Wednesdays where we had that big ass argument to the point where she even said, and I did a video on this, where she just said that, she was not going to talk to me for a while again. I'm trying to remember the exact words, but it was more like, yeah, she didn't want to talk to me for a while. And, until I get things together, this and that, I don't want to see your psycho behavior, something like that. I'm trying to parse every bit of her words from what I put on that video right now. I can't remember from the top of my head. But yeah, so the moment she said that to me, the last couple of Wednesdays, mind you, that this was like the day before what I came across, to where I was like in panic mode. And, that just pretty much summed up that entire week where, it was just so damn rough that all I focused on was that one statement to where that reflected, my failure as a friend. And unfortunately, it got to that point where now I just, after doing that one video, and mind you, I had already put my entire circle on hold. So, after doing that, I started doing that one video, and all of a sudden I got to take it down. It wasn't just that, it was like a couple other more, in relation to, in relation to what, and to what just happened. And, like what that statement is, or was, that was relating to, my failure as a friend. And then, but what I just saw, like the next day after, basically Mari and I just started that silence again, was, that just pretty much summed up what's been a very, very rough week. But, getting back to this topic though, it's this right here, this silence right now, especially as Mari knows that, I'm in a process of going through the mental health process, me doing therapy and you know doing and then doing the meds and all that. And for us to argue like this, and I know she's been seeing my work. She's not the only one. She has been seeing my worst like the past several weeks, even with the mental help that I'm getting and I'm still going through. And then again, she was not the only one. Even several of my friends, hell, even the entire Nutballers group was still seeing me at my worst. And I already made videos about, the damage that I caused in that group, as far as like some of the beef that's happened and some of the tension and awkwardness and all that. Just relationships tweaking differently, and now it's gotten to a point where the second group text incident happened, and you know everything else that followed to where what I came across the last couple of weeks. That's just pretty much where I saw the group has just changed. you know like Dewey said, it changed, but to me I see it more as it's changing in that it's falling apart slowly, to where I'm seeing that group. Once upon a time, I had hopes for that group to reunite and with better vibes, the way they used to be after the first group text incident. It went from that to uncertainty because, unfortunately, you know, because I'm still in this dump, I'm still at my worst. But yeah, getting back to this topic right here, Mari was one of those people, mind you, that is my best friend. And for us to argue like this, and she didn't sound as very angry like in the beginning, but now like she got really upset eventually, and then it got to the point where the moment that she said that she didn't want to talk to me for a while, that was when my heart sank. I had to be honest, because that was when I knew that the silence had started. And mind you, she has not, I haven't heard from her, since that silence. She hasn't messaged me or anything. I didn't even bother to message her, because if I did, I'm afraid that she was gonna ignore me, and that might make me feel more hurt. And right now I feel just as hurt, because I was responsible for the argument and this silence. And believe it or not, I mean, for this silence to happen again, this period of silence, I gotta tell you, man, this one feels worse than that 1 month, almost 1 month silence that we had in May. Because considering that Mari saw that I got the help that I need, and she was proud, she was happy to see me getting the help that I need, and unfortunately, she didn't expect that I was still gonna be like this. And I remember her saying, "I thought the help was helping you and all that," and all. She was kind of lost. And then after this argument, and for her to say that she's not going to talk to me for a while, look, I'm about to lose a couple more close friends. And mind you, these couple of friends are some of the closest friends I've known for a long time. And I understand that they got more to deal with, and they have their own lives and all that. But unfortunately, I can already feel it, because these guys also, along with Mari and most of my other really close friends, have still seen my worst. Just knowing I'm still in that dump, and despite the help that I'm getting, and for me, just struggling to engage in a better understanding of my mental health. It's like, and after all that happened these last few weeks, now it's, I'm about to lose a couple of them. I just hope Mari is not the next one. I know. I still have not reconnected with Anastasia, and unfortunately, she's on my ex-culture memorial wall, because I'm trying to have Russ try to reach out to her to see if she can email me, because I still refuse to go to social media to this day, and I really don't want to bother. And unfortunately, I don't have her number on my hard copy list. So right now, it's like, I mean, she was one of the very many of all my close friends that I put on hold. To quote it, put on hold. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, like I said, I had to go through Messenger to ask her, and I know it's already been like what, like 7 months, 8 months since we haven't talked. So I don't know. I just hope I don't lose her either. But something tells me it might get to that. I hope I'm wrong. But with Mari though, yeah, this next period of silence just feels worse than the 1 month one, because obviously she expected that I was already going to be a much better person with that help. But after what she has seen, as well as with many of my other friends, it's why, like, it's what led to this big argument. And you know we haven't had, I mean, we've had some arguments like recently, but for this really big one, it just speaks volumes as to why we have not spoken, in for almost a couple of weeks. Now, do I really think this is gonna last 1 month? I hope not, because I really miss her right now. It's just hard just to not feel her presence. I know that's my best friend, one of my best friends. You know, and I've been on the record saying that she is like the best, you know, of the best friends I ever had, because the way our friendship has operated since day one. It's the closeness of our friendship is like no other. That's why I've been saying, like, Mari. I'm just so lucky to have a friend like Mari, like no other, in terms of how a friendship like ours is just unique in a way that, where it's so strongly connected, emotionally and spiritually, to where, and then to where it seems like at times it's just more like, it's just more than friendship, even though we had a lot of flirtatious moments. But for the most part, it is a very, very close, a very closely tight friendship that, that you almost would argue is just hard to let go, right? And I know we had a lot of arguments here and there, and just the kind of person. But for the most part, with those, despite those arguments, we our friendship is like super glue. No matter what happens, like, what, even in such heat of the moments where we may try to part ways with one another, it's not gonna happen that way. That's why I said it's like super glue. You know, we'll never depart. Our friendship will never depart. But in this case, right now, it's just like we have not really spoken to one another, and it's been dead silence. And like I said, I haven't messaged her. I haven't heard a peep from her, and since that argument that we had, like, the last couple of Wednesdays. So I'm just hoping we work things out, man. And I just gotta get this off my chest. I don't want to really lose her as a friend. Considering she is the best friend I've ever had. I know that it's a lady friend, and it's a lady best friend, but the way that she cares for me is like no other. Not to disrespect any of the other close friends that I have, like Russ, the boss, Neil, and Ray, Mercy, Resha, um, Lovely Mel, heck, even Sam. Me and Sam actually have a very strongly tight friendship, because she is also my best friend. We kind of have that same kind of closeness in our friendship, like me and Mari. But the thing is, with me and Mari, it's just taken to another level. And I know me and Sam had some flirtatious moments, but it's not to the extent that me and Mari had, since we developed our friendship. And so, I think me and Mari just had so much more to our friendship, as far as like, like There's just so many, you know. But she is one of a kind, and I just hope that we, like I said, we can work things out, and we just go from there. I really don't want this to be another month. I might just end up feeling worried, like I am now. I know I'm hurt, and because it is already happening the second time with this period of silence. I just hope that she will come back, and although I know although I say in here I'm not giving up, you know, there's a part of me that's worried that she might just tell me she'll finally part ways with me. I remember Lovely Mel said she wanted to end her friendship with me. Now she wants to reconnect, but I'm not going back to social media yet. But in the case of Mari right here, man, I really don't want to lose her like that. But I can't help it. But just thinking about her, the fact that we're not talking is making me think about her more. I really, really miss my bestie. Just I'm still gonna continue to give her space, and just let her be. In the meantime, I'm the same way with a couple of my other friends who most likely need their space as well. So I just thought I'd share this topic because Mari means a whole lot to me, and not just as a friend but as a sister by heart. I know I used to say kapatid by heart. That only applies to the ones that I lost, Christine, and Kirill, who have pretty much moved on without me. But as for I try to do it with Mari, but I'm better off saying just like a sister by heart. you know, she's everything that I would ever have in a friend. And a best friend, a special friend. Even a sister. She is just definitely like the most caring to me, like no other. Like her supreme loyalty. I mean, her physique, like her looks are just, whew. I just think to me she's like the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. The most beautiful person, the most beautiful girl. I can put Sam right behind her. I know Ivanka's another one. I talked about me and Ivanka's friendship earlier. And, I know Diana's another one, but I think Mari is just, to me, this just the most beautiful one I've ever met, and just so very lucky to have a friend like her with the looks like that. And especially, it's hard to find girls like, especially just to be friends with, who be very good looking, and they don't really inhibit a good personality, or a good inner character. But Mari in this case inhibits both. Most beautiful friend from the outside, also the most beautiful friend on the inside. So I just thought I'd get that out there. And if Mari is listening, if you're listening to this, Mari, you know how much I miss you right now. I half my heart is missing, knowing that you definitely complete my heart, being the best friend that you've been to me since day one. And just want you to know that I just that I don't leave me. Don't change towards me. I love you, and I hope you still love me, bestie. I love you for life. Please don't leave me. I love you forever, Mari.